Hello YouTube, Phil at the Backroads Riding Channel, coming at you with today's video. It is an absolutely gorgeous fall day in Michigan. Fall afternoon, I should say. Colors are out, just really nice. And I am out for a ride and thought I would do a video. So today, I'm going to be talking about the DJI Action 5, the camera. So when I came out, I bought it right away. I wanted the camera, and so I bought it and started using it. And I hadn't put any videos up with it yet because I was a little disappointed with it. I mean, the camera was nice, but as you've read online and hundreds of other reviews, the 10-bit color was just not there. There was some problems with it, and so I still continued using it. I've had it for about 5 weeks, and I continued using it, and I still couldn't get good quality. No matter what I tried, I couldn't get good quality out of the 10. But I mean, it was decent, but you know, if you really looked into it, you could see it. But then I ended up, I went to Tennessee for a trip, and I did most of my video shots for my Action 5 there in 8-bit color, which worked pretty well, but obviously that wasn't what I bought the camera for. And so I ended up just kind of waiting for the firmware update. I knew that was going to be coming. The battery life on the camera was fabulous. You know, there are lots of good things about it. I love the ability to control both of my DJI Mic 2 transmitters from the camera itself. That's wonderful. I'm able to mic my exhaust and mic my helmet at the same time without having to have different setups for it. And so I've still been kind of just doing some taping that way. And then I love the battery life. The battery life is tremendous. And so I was running at 4K 60 frames per second. I was getting 2.5 to 2 hours and 45 minutes out of it. If I ran in 4K 30 frames, I was getting close to 4, so it was crazy. But I knew that wasn't going to last when they brought the firmware update out, because there's no way that you can run one of these cameras you know, and have that kind of battery life with the bit rate that they were going to be going to. But so the bit rate that I was getting on my 10-bit video, or on the 10-bit normal and the 10-bit whatever the HLG, or can't remember what the name of it is, but and then 10-bit log, I was pretty much getting about a 65 to 70 megabit, not 75 megabit, 75 bit rate on the film. And so a couple days ago they came out with the update or the new firmware update for the camera, and I put that on right away, and what a difference. So the number one thing that I was concerned about with the firmware update was the 10-bit settings. So I got the firmware update on, which is pretty easy to do. For those of you, if you're having trouble finding the firmware update, go to your Mimo app and go into your profile and click on About. And when you click on About, you can then refresh, or say search for new firmware. And if it's not showing up on your list when you do that search, it'll then show up for you so you can download it. Anyways, that firmware update has made all the difference. So I ran some test footage yesterday with it. All of the profiles for 10-bit are getting anywhere from 106 to 109 bits, or 109 bit rate on the video. And you can tell the quality is definitely better. I'm running with the Action 5 right now on my helmet, and the quality of the video is definitely more solid. There is a setting in your, when you get the firmware update, you have to go into your settings and actually, person's in the wrong lane going straight, but you actually have to go into your firmware and set the settings from standard to high, and that will give you the higher bit rate. Now, when you do that, it is going to do a couple of things. Number one, your camera is going to run a little hotter. I ran it on my way home from work yesterday, and my ride home from work is about an hour, and I ran it. Now, it didn't overheat at all, and in a car environment with no windows, you know, windows are up, it usually would like my GoPros would overheat constantly in 4K 60 frames per second. This one did not overheat and shut off. It did get warmer, much warmer than it had been previously, but it still did not shut off, so that was a good thing. The battery life definitely reduced, but it's still really solid for the size camera and the running that frame rate with 60 frames per second. I mean, it's just, I still was pretty amazed with it. So I let it run for my entire trip, and then I ran it again a little while later, just trying to get the battery ran down. I ran for a total of 1 hour 47 minutes before the camera finally shut off, and I was really pleased with that. If I'm running, 110 bit on the video, 4K 60 frames per second, and I can get 147 minutes out of the battery, that is a huge lift for this camera. Everything else still runs great. I have no issues at all with anything else on the camera, at least not right now. Ooh, that guy's making me nervous. No issues with anything else on the camera. I'm hoping the footage on this ride is pretty good. I wanted to go out today because the sun's out, colors are great. Now I am running ND filters on the camera today. I probably shouldn't have, just to get a solid straight frame test, but I wanted to try out the ND filters as well. So you're going to have some motion blur, so it will, make some of the footage not quite as clear. But if you have not installed the firmware update for the DJI Action 5, please do that. It will make your camera a lot better. I think it'll silence some of the people that have just been freaking out on this camera, saying how bad it is. I wish they had increased the bit rate a little bit more and at least made it comparable to what the Action 4 was putting out. But I'm still pretty happy with where it's at. And I mean, honestly, folks, for what we're doing, for doing moto vlogging, things like that, it's more than enough for what you see, at least in my opinion. So we're going to continue riding today and see what we can come up with footage-wise. So if you're on the fence about buying this camera, it's a great camera. I own two of them. I own an Action 4 and an Action 5. And I've been very, very happy with them. I sold my GoPros to go with these. And even with the problems with the initial rollout of the Action 5, I'm still pretty happy that I went with it. So it's a good camera. It's easy to use. One thing I have noticed on the camera, so they talk about the startup rate on the camera when you hit record, and that is accurate. It's much faster than what it used to be. However, there is a caveat to that. If the camera has been sitting for a while, or if you change the battery in the camera, that startup rate is not as fast the first time you start it up. So it's going to take a good 2 to 3 seconds for it to start up at least, and then it will fire the recording. Now once the camera's been started, after that it's very fast. But if it sits for any period of time, the startup rate is definitely slower. Now maybe that's just my camera, but it definitely is slower for that initial start. So just something for you to keep in mind when you're out riding. There is some ability to change. I seen this on another review. I haven't had a chance to test it yet, but I believe there is now the ability to change your mic gain settings while you are recording, which was not an option before. Make sure this is clear. And so there is that ability now to change your mic gains while you're live, which is nice. I mean, for me using the DJI Mic 2s, honestly, I have to run them -12 anyways, because the one receiver or transmitter is sitting in my helmet directly against my mouth, and so I got to be careful. I got to lower that all the way down anyways, and then the one in the exhaust, I've got that under my passenger seat on the bike, and same type thing. I have it sitting in a microfiber cloth, just one fold, but I have to run it at -12 anyway, so that doesn't really affect me too much for my riding. Now, if I'm doing logs where I'm walking around, sure, I have to adjust my settings while I go. The other thing they did add onto the camera too is they did not have, if you use the camera as a dash cam, or you're using it for a lot of recording where you want to see the screen, sometimes you want to set that screen to never shut off during recording. When the Action 5 first came out, the maximum you could go was 10 minutes, and then it would shut off and give you the default screen. I noticed that they have put on a never setting now, just like the Action 4 has. However, there must be something that I'm doing wrong, because what it does when I put it on never is it starts off fine, and then after a couple of minutes it begins to fade, and then it fades away completely after a while. It never even goes to the screen where it shows you the numbers of what's recording or what your frame rates are. It just shuts off completely. So there must be something else that I have set that's doing that, so I'll mess around with that and figure that one out. So one of the other things that I was hoping would be fixed in a firmware update, but I don't think it's going to be able to be fixed in a firmware update. I think it's going to be more of a hardware update on these cameras. The lens flares on the cameras are still pretty pretty bad depending on the angle of the sun. You might even see it with the way my camera is angled right now, I'm not sure. But those are still there, and unfortunately are still pretty bad. So, get up to speed here. Kind of flub that turn a little there. But the flares are still pretty good. So I don't like how it handles it. I much prefer how the Ace Pro or the GoPro handle the sun flares. I mean, all the cameras have them, but mine will get these like weird lines that run from the sun to the flare. It's kind of odd, and I don't really care for that. But that's a minor issue for me. All right, for those of you who like these videos, I know I'm still supposed to release a bunch of videos, and I still haven't done it. I've got a recording done for the 10,000 mile review on this bike. It was supposed to be a 5,000, then it was a 10,000. Now it's almost at 11.2 now. So still trying to get that video finished up and posted out. But if you like these videos, please click subscribe, click like, and hit alert for when new videos do come out. I really am trying to get myself into a steady schedule. I've said that 30 times, but I'm really meaning it this time. But for those of you who are riding this weekend, I hope you stay safe. Keep the shiny side up and the rubber side down. I hope you all have a great week. And this is Phil at the Backroads Riding channel saying peace. And we'll see you all in our next video.